One of the most exciting things is always seeing how the collaborative relationship is sort of going to work. It's almost like an improv group or something. It's yes and. Things get a little tighter and tighter, but that's we love deadlines. That's different project by project. And one of the most exciting things is always seeing how the collaborative relationship is sort of going to work and gel together. Sometimes you have one person's voice that is, the overriding factor, and the fun of it is like, how do we help express that voice? And other times, like with Blue Planet, it's like a true collaboration where we're kind of the fun of it is almost kind of seeing where people are coming from, because at the end of the day, we've all grown up, we've had different experiences, we have different musical experiences, and being able to be inspired by each other's ideas and having, a common goal makes it so much fun, because it's almost like an improv group or something. It's yes and, someone puts a musical idea forward and you say, I love that, I'm going to take that, I'm going to riff on it, or, I love what you did, I want to do something like that. So I think in the best case scenario, these collaborations are really, it's just building towards a goal, and having someone that's excited about that same goal only makes it a more fun process. And that's what really it's about, just making music, having fun. There's a lot of conversations right off the bat, a lot of conversations about ideas. And I've been in teams where there's one lead composer and a bunch of additional composers trying to sort of work collectively towards that one goal. And this was more of a kind of concerted effort among three people, which was really exciting because everyone's ideas sort of got a place at the table. But I think, especially, to come into a team with those two who had already worked successfully together on Planet Earth, there was sort of a shorthand about, what kind of environment we wanted to establish early on. And I think the thing that made Blue Planet really exciting and unique was that we kind of tried to hone in on a sonic environment first, and that was something that we could always go back to. So while we had musical themes, we also had this sort of underlying sonic theme, this idea of sort of an ebbing and flowing orchestra, always sort of underneath and kind of connecting all the separate characters and scenes. I've enjoyed working in that environment where, you're working with a pre-existing theme. Maybe it's a theme from an earlier film in a series, or maybe it's someone's main theme, and you're sort of making arrangements based off of that. And then there are projects like this specific one where it wasn't so much that way. Of course, we would always go back to things. We had a main theme, we had a family theme, we had motifs that were sort of for kind of animals, calculating, coming up with, almost sorting through puzzles. We, trying to figure out how to get their food, basically. So there was always things to go back to like that and help fill in. But it's always different. It really always depends on the specific collaboration that's happening for that project. I think it's dependent on a project by project basis. I think when the time and budget can be allowed, I think probably everyone you talk to would want to do as much sampling as possible to kind of narrow in on sonic characteristic of a story. I think that's one of the exciting things about Hans as well, and working with him, and Jacob in this particular case, is that there is an effort to not only express what makes a story unique musically, but also sonically, also kind of capturing the sound of what might be specific about this character or this story, in this case, like this animal. I think being able to express that, whether it's through sound design or through sampling sessions, I think is always a luxury that we would want to have on every single project. On this specific one, I think it was maybe a bit different than other TV shows I've worked on. There was a lot of time for the first few episodes, which was amazing. Like, we could really give it the cinematic treatment that I think it deserved. I mean, you hear David Attenborough's voice, and you hear, and you just see the amazing footage, and it really felt like it needed the cinematic treatment, and we really had that liberty of time. Towards the end of the project, it got crunched. Things get a little tighter and tighter, but that's we love deadlines, so that's always fun. And so I think the last couple episodes, maybe we only had a week or 2 weeks to complete, which is pretty normal for TV, but the level of care we wanted to put into the orchestration and the production, that it was a hairy kind of fun. In this case, I almost feel like we treated the entire series as like one big film. However, there were chapters, so like each episode called for a specific kind of approach. Like, there was an episode I think was called Big Blue, where it's about the open ocean, like the most wide open spot in the middle of the ocean, where it's almost like the desert of the sea, because animals will just go for miles without encountering another living species. And so, for that, for instance, we tried to narrow in and almost approach it like texture-wise, almost with a Western sound palette. Everything was very dry. We wanted these dry strings. It wasn't as lush as the other episodes, and things were very like, we weren't using much vibrato. We were using some sort of bowed guitars and just things that kind of brought out this sparse, kind of desperate feeling. And then there were other episodes. There was the coral reefs, which are kind of like these bustling cities. We wanted to, there was almost some Gershwin homages. There was more woodwinds. It was more fast-paced. There was some, even some mallet percussion, things like that. So while we always had that kind of, ocean texture to go back to, which was our, if we're treating it like one big movie, that was what we were building up over time. We still would kind of use each of these episodes to tell a specific story about a specific part of the ocean, because at the end of the day, what was so amazing and what I really learned is that the different ecosystems, the different environments they're so disparate, and that's why there's so many different kinds of life. That they kind of all need to be approached musically a little bit different as well.